If you'd been stood with that copper at the edge of that river, you'd have heard us. Earlier that week, I was practicing DJing while whizzing off my head on amphetamines. You should have seen me. I looked like Gallum on speed behind decks. I'd practiced for months, and then that day at last, I got the knack of mixing two tunes in time, Waka Wong, and in key, Chocka Chong. Every time. As you'd expect, I was buzzing. Then Tanya, my girlfriend, walked in. Tanya had the looks. She had red hair. She didn't do drugs, but by now she'd worked out that I did. She didn't need the skills of Sherlock to suss that. Tanya, come here, watch this. I can mix in time, Waka Wong, and in key, Chocka Chong, every time. Big deal, I'm not bothered. I've just got in from work. Anyway, I don't think I can do this anymore, Barry. Look at the state you're in. I know you're off your head, you always are. I've just not said out before. We had a massive row and split up. So I put my gear in the car and got off. 58 hours later, I arrived in Buxton. It was only 35 miles away. I was convinced that the big man upstairs has sent me there, and that now, tooled up with my Technics, turntables and tunes, that I was going to be a famous DJ, and that I was going to make a record. I knocked on 10 bed and breakfast doors. I'm going to be a famous DJ. I'm going to make a record. I need a room. I didn't get one. Is it any wonder? I don't think Digs in the Sticks are used to this at 2 o'clock in the morning. I went for a mooch round this public park. There's a river. If I cross that, I'm going to be proper famous. So I stripped off, got in, got out the other side. Then I came to this big old posh building with a glass door. Bang, bang, bang. A woman peeked through. You should have seen her face. She didn't give me a room either. You blame her? Next minute, I saw a blue flashing light. Oh no, it's the Dibble. So I legged it back down to the river. When I jump in there, I'm going to fall through the bottom and get away. So I jumped. But I hit the bottom instead. That bit was only that deep. Then that copper looked over the edge. He'd taken his hat off and he had a short sleeve shirt on. What are you doing in there like that? At this time, come here. He reached down to lend me his hand. Hey, officer, I'm going to be a famous DJ. I'm going to make a record. Are you now, lad? Yeah, I just need a room. I think I can help you find one of them. And he did. I ended up in Leicester prison on remand with a room down the hospital wing. I wasn't well, I was damaged, I was on that broken path. Do you know that we all wind up on that broken path at some point? Because damage happens to us all. Damage caused by our own personal dramas. You'll find we've all been on that path. It's not just me. There was a sharp thinking fella on the scene in early Bible days called Solomon. He said, give careful thought to the paths of your feet. So what helpful truths can be found if we grab his advice and take a trip back down that broken path? Let's go see. To kick off, that broken path is where repairs can get actioned. Picture this. You're driving a car and you stop at a T-junction waiting to turn right. Then a double-decker bus comes beside you and stops waiting to turn left. Then the bus sets off to turn the corner, but as it swings around, the back of the bus hits the side of your car so hard that it jolts you. But then the bus doesn't stop. The driver just carries on. like nothing's happened, what would you do? Phone a friend? Get out and take a Facebook selfie? Check that didn't? My back's killing me. I can feel a claim coming on. Or would you bomb it after the bus, like I did when it happened to me on Boundary Lane in New Moss Side, Fast and Furious style, in my 16-plate Focus. I'd put the passenger window down ready so you could smell the burning rubber as I did an handbrake turn in front of it to stop him, kind of. Hey, mate! His comb over popped out. What? You've just hit the side of me car. No, I haven't. Yeah, you have. When you pulled out back there, you knocked into me, you pushed me right over. You must have felt it. That wasn't me. Get off and come and have a look. So I got out. I went to the side of my car. Look at the state of that there. Look at all the orange and white paint in there. That's not off mine. Are you having a laugh? You can't say that's not off yours. Look, there's even some of my black there in that massive scuff on the corner of yours. That's not black. That's dark grey. That's black. Ford Shadow Black to be exact. How can you be so hard-faced? You bang to rights, mate. Looks like I am really, doesn't it? I better give him my details then. When I got home, I phoned my insurance. A bus has just hit me and damaged the side of my car. Okay, sir. Someone from a local body shop will be in touch to arrange to pick it up. Later that day, they came and took my car away, and they repaired the damage. Do you know, in a similar fashion, God can repair the damage done to us, but he's the master repairer because he's able to repair damaged hearts. He's able to repair damaged emotions, and he's even able to repair the damage done to us by those hard-faced so-and-sos who try to deny it, like the bus driver with the comb over did. See, that broken path is where repairs can get actioned. Think about the damage that's landed you on that path. Listen, God can repair that damage. He can reach down to lend you his hand. A bloke in the Bible, Job, man, he was proper damaged by all the drama that happened to him. But then God flipped the script. It says that God restored him and gave him back twice as much. See, that broken path is where repairs can get actioned. I was in that public park. It was way gone 2 a.m. Hey, officer, I'm going to be a famous DJ. I'm going to make a record. That broken path is where repairs can get actioned. And aside from this, that broken path can have an end point. Raise your hand if you've ever been the kind of person to write letters with a pen. For the youngers in here, this is how we used to send a message to someone. Do you know, apart from those I wrote when I was in prison, I've only ever sat down once to write a letter this way. This was to me mum. It's the only letter I've ever sent her. I've still got the letter because our kid found it in a biscuit tin underneath my mum's bed after she'd died. I wrote this during a period on that path towards the end when I was a bit of a hostel resider. By this stage, I was so poor, I used to turn my taquini tracksuit bottoms inside out to get another 6 months out of them. If you'd been in my room in that hostel, you'd have seen me at that little table, writing it. Ma'am, I thought I'd drop you a line to let you know how I'm doing. This Sally Army hostel is so much better than the one in Salford. The staff and residents are really friendly and dead down to earth. It costs me 21 quid a week. I get my breakfast, dinner, tea, supper, all in. It's the best food I've ever eaten. Ma'am, I'm looking for a cheap black and white portable telly. If you see one about a tenner, let me know. I've been travelling around on my free bus pass, and I've asked our Kev to post me up the cheap bootleg tobacco. So don't worry about me up here. I'm fine. Love you, ma'am. Baz. P.S. I bet you didn't know I could write letters, did you? As you can see, I was stuck on that broken path. Then God reached down to lend me his hand to take me off it. And so my days on there were done. Listen. 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 That broken path can have an end point. Paul out of the Bible, he'd been on that broken path more than once in the course of his lifetime, and he said, yeah, God rescued me from them all. Are you on that broken path? Because you've been damaged in some way? Maybe you've wound up on there recently, or it could be that you've been stuck on there for some time. Listen, however long you've been on there, or even if you've been on there more than once, God can take you off that path. Same as he did with me. See, that broken path can have an end point. I was in that public park. It was way on 2 a.m. Hey, officer, I'm going to be a famous DJ. I'm going to make a record. That broken path is where repairs can get actioned. It can have an end point, and that broken path positions you to get next to the broken. If you got chatting with Si, you clock his Stokey accent, his half gold front tooth, and his big heart for broken blokes. We first got chatting after I finished speaking in Dudgate Prison way back when we first started working in jails. That's when our prison project began, which is to give a copy of my book, Once an Addict, to every prisoner in the United Kingdom. Right now, there's 90,400 prisoners behind bars throughout the UK. We have sent 52,500 copies of that book out free of charge. One small way we finance that is through the resources that we sell, and it just so happens I've got some with me. That gets earmarked for the prisons work that we do because we don't get any finance for our prisons work. But another way that we finance that is through support from local churches and individuals. And can I just say, thank you, Kings, my home church away from home church. I say that about one church. I visit hundreds of churches every year. This is my only church away from home church. Your regular support is massive, and it helps us keep doing what we're doing. And your support for Fixed. On the 5th of June this year, we open registration for Fixed at 8:30 in the morning. By 20 to 12 that day, we had 475 people booked in. The venue holds 500. Well, we break a few laws and stretch it, so. Most of those people that come to that conference, I would say 80% can't afford to pay to come. So you've supported a massive chunk of those people coming. Now, I think Amber said it's like 640 people's booked in. So we're going to have an overflow. The conference is the last Saturday of this month. So thank you. Thank you so much for your partnership and for your support. It means so much. It so helps us do what we do. Si was doing time in Dovegate. I can't really say what he was in for, but I can tell you it involved a post office, a sawn-off shotgun, and a balaclava. He was given a 12 stretch. He was on that broken path. Then God reached down to lend him his hand when he was in his cell one night. Now Si heads up the walk, which is in Stoke-on-Trent, with his wife. She's the brains. An organisation that was set up to get alongside prisoners when they're released. If you'd been with me just recently, you'd have seen me ask him about it. Si, I remember when the walk was getting off the ground, but tell me about the journey, mate. It started off when I was inside, bro. Towards the end of my sentence, I was working down the reception, and I kept seeing lads leaving, and within no time they'd be back, and I thought, you know, I've been on that path, the same one as them, so when I get out, I can do something to help. That was 8 years ago, bro. Nowadays, we've got a detox centre, a recovery home, 3 support houses, and 14 semi-supported apartments. So far since the start, we've seen 706 men come through, bro. See, that broken path positions you to get next to the broken. Paul, who'd been on that path more than once, he said this too. God comes alongside us when we're going through it, and before you know it, he brings us alongside someone else who's going through it. See, when you get through it, you're then in a position to help others navigate their way through it. What about those on that path? A similar path to yours. Weigh it up. How might you be able to help them? Knowing that God's got your back. Listen, that broken path positions you to get next to the broken. I was in that public park. It was way gone 2 a.m. Hey, officer, I'm going to be a famous DJ. I'm going to make a record. That broken path is where repairs can get actioned. It can have an end point. It positions you to get next to the broken. And as well as these, that broken path is where you can switch paths. You had to be there to hear how she said it. A little while back, I made an appointment at my doctor's to see a nurse for a routine checkup. 2 days before I went, I got a text. Dear patient, your annual mental health review is due. Annual mental health review. They must have mixed it up. They sent me this instead of the reminder. So I go to the doctor's and I'm sitting there waiting. Barry Woodward, this way, please. When I got into the treatment room, the nurse was sat at a computer. She had big brown glasses on, her hair was tied back, and I'm sure that perfume was Gucci Rush. Right then, Mr. Woodward, what you're here for now? You're here for your annual mental health review, aren't you? No, I don't have a mental health review. I'm just here for a checkup. Well, it says here, Mr. Woodward, that you're due one. Well, I can't be, because I don't have them anymore. I did do, though, whilst I was seeing a psychiatrist, back when I heard voices, and I was an addict, but then I stopped seeing one. Why did you stop seeing one, Mr. Woodward? Because there's no need. Not since the voices vanished and addicts to drugs after I had a eureka moment in a church one morning. It was like I'd switched paths. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And it was the way that she said it. I knew what she was thinking. Are you sure there's no need for you to see a psychiatrist, Mr. Woodward? Listen, that broken path is where you can switch paths. Could you do with switching from that path that you're on? Look, 2,000 years ago, 2,000 miles away. God who flung the stars into space. God who spoke the universe into being. He put skin on. He became a man. His name is Jesus. And he came to this earth and he was tempted just like you, but he resisted temptation. And at the age of 33, he allowed himself to be nailed to a cross. He died on that cross to pay the price for your faults, for your flaws, and for your failures. He died on that cross so that you could go back to the drawing board and to pave the way for you to switch paths. There's a sentence in God's instruction book, the Bible, that was written by a guy who totally made people sit up and take notice. He said, be wise and always have enough sense to follow the right path. That broken path is where you can switch paths. But you need to make the change. As you can imagine, when you get to speak in lots of places like I do, you get to stay in lots of hotels. I'm what you might call a hotel hopper. I'm not a hostel resider anymore. That was just a preparation for my upgrade. You know, I locked myself out of one hotel really late at night. Oh no, what a numbskull. What do I do? Force my way in? Or do I bide my time out here until somebody lets me in? Sat that, it's late, life's too short. So I grabbed the handle, turned it, and I started jolting on it. You should have seen me. I was going crazy. I was like a frenzied Jackie Chan. On steroids. After about an hour, the electric lock clicked, and the door popped open. Oh, that was close. I'm knackered. I just hope there's no cameras out here, though. Fancy that clip popping up on your Facebook timeline. You know, this scenario is the same as us and God. That building is us. God wants to come in, but he will never try to force his way in like I did. So instead, he bides his time outside your door until you open it and give him consent to come in. In the Bible, it puts it this way. I stand at the door. See, he stands at your door. And he waits for you to open it. He waits for you to give him consent to come in. And when you give him consent to come in, he reaches down to lend you his hand. Listen, that broken path is where you can switch paths. But you need to make the change. I'm going to close out now by doing a spin back to that scene. Me behind my decks. Tanya, come here. Watch this. I can mix in time, waka wong, and in key, choka chong. Every time. Big deal. I'm not bothered. 58 hours later, I was in Buxton. I'm going to be a famous DJ. I'm going to make a record. I need a room. I got a room in the end down the hospital wing in Leicester Prison. I wasn't well. I was damaged. I was on that broken path. That path that we've all wound up on. Sharp thinking Solomon said, give careful thought to the paths of your feet. Today we've grabbed a device and taken a trip and found some truths. Please stand. No going outside for a smoke just yet. Listen up. Listen up. Listen up. Right now, God is set to reach down to lend you his hand. He's biding his time outside your door. But you need to make the change. You need to give him consent to come in. What are you going to do? I'm going to pray a prayer. And I'm going to invite two groups of people in this room to pray this prayer with me. If you're watching online, you can pray this prayer with me too. Two groups of people. The first group, those people in the room, you have never given God consent to come into your life. It could be that you've been attending this church and you've been enjoying the music, enjoying meeting people, enjoying the buzz, and I get that big time. This is special. But you've never given God consent to come in. For some reason, you've been putting it off. It could be that you've come with a spouse, friend, but you've never given God consent to come in. It could be that you believe in God, but you've never given Jesus, God with skin on, consent to come in. It could be that you've not given it much thought until today. Listen, God is outside your door. He wants to come in. So the first group of people are those people in this room, you've never prayed a prayer before, you've never given God consent to come in. And the second group of people are those watching online or those in the room, those who have prayed some kind of prayer in the past, and you've started your journey with God, but for whatever reason, right now, on your path, you're not living how God wants you to live. The Bible says there's no condemnation for you, by the way. But I want to invite you to pray this prayer so that you can get back in the groove, get back on track. So they're the two groups who are going to pray this prayer, whether you're watching online or whether you're in the room. And if you're in the room, you make up the third group because you're going to pray it to encourage the first group and the second group. Are we ready? All three groups repeat after me, phrase by phrase. Dear God, I come to you today and I admit that I'm not perfect. God, I ask that you forgive me for my faults, for my flaws, and for my failures. God, I ask that you wipe my slate clean, because right now I'm saying that I want to switch paths. And God, I'm asking that right now you reach down to lend me your hand. While the heads are bowed, if you're in the room and you've prayed that prayer, you're part of the first group or the second group, I want you to raise your hands as quickly as you can so I can see it. Put your hands up. Put your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up so I can see it. We've got 1, 2, 3. Put your hands up so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put your hands down. 10 people. There's more of you, a lot more of you in this room prayed that prayer. As I count down 10 seconds, I want you to put your hands up as high as you can, because there's a lot of people in this room and I can't see that far back, but I'm going to have a good go. There's 10 people raised your hands already. You don't need to raise them again. If you've prayed that prayer, you're part of the first time. It's the first time you prayed it, or you've prayed it to reconnect, get back on track. As I count down 10 seconds, I'll give you 10 extra seconds. Park your pride outside before I count down. Put your pride in your pocket, put it in your bag, do something with it, get out of the way. Right, anybody else as I count down? 10, 9, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. 6, 7, 8, 9. Another 9, 10, 11, another 11, 12, 13. Keep your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up, 13. That's 23 altogether. And I'm still counting down. 9, 8. Anybody else? Keep your hands up so I can see it. Another 1 here, got you. Another 2, another 3. Yeah, anybody else? Got you there at the back. Another 4. Anybody else? Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Another 1 here. Brilliant. Fantastic. Another 2. Another 3. Number 4. Another 4. Brilliant. As I count down. 7, 6, 5. Park your pride outside. 4. Anybody else? Keep your hands up. 3, 2, 1. That's about 30, 31 people. 32. I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to count to 3. All those people who's raised your hand, it's at least 32 of you. I'm going to count to 3. If you're in the front area here, you're going to walk to the corner. Next steps. if you're in the tier seat, you're going to come down the stairs and you're going to go to next steps. They're waiting for you there. I have brought some packs with me. And in that pack, there's a booklet we want you to take home with you called Making the Connection. And there's also a QR code that we want you to scan. Scan that QR code. That will take you to a video. Then I explain, what do you do next? What are the next steps? So it's important that you move on the point of 3. Are you ready? If someone's in your way, just push past nice and gently. Take somebody with you if you want to. 1, 2, 3. You go now as quickly as you can. You're going to this corner. If you raise your hand, you're going to go to this corner over here. That corner over there. Yeah, you go. Brilliant. You're going to that corner over here. Thank you. Yeah, brilliant. Let's give them brilliant. Fantastic. Come on. Yes. Let's give them all a massive round of applause. Come on. Yes. Keep coming down. There was some over here you need to come across. Fantastic.